What's going on? It is April 16th, 2021. It is Friday. It is Mailbag Day. So I'm down here at Bellator 257 at the Mohegan Sun once again. I have a boatload of questions that you guys sent in before I watch some face punching tonight. So appreciate everyone that sent them in. And let's not waste any more time. Let's just jump right into it. Robert Moore asks, who do you feel is the GOAT of the UFC, past or present? The GOAT debate, for whatever reason, seems to anger some people, but I kind of enjoy it. It just gives you something to talk about. You can compare apples and oranges and have people tell you why apples are better and some people tell you why oranges are better. But for me, I have to say Jon Jones is the GOAT. I know that might frustrate some people. People don't like what he's done outside the cage. The whole USADA situation, makes people a little bit, I don't want to say salty, but it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. But for me, what he has done inside the cage, what the record shows, is that this man is the greatest fighter of all time. I think the legacy that he's left at light heavyweight, even if he never goes back there, will always make sure that he is in this conversation, no matter what he does at heavyweight. But simply put, the man hasn't lost. He's had a lot of opportunities to lose against really tough fighters. Sure, he has the DQ on his record, but we all know that that's a bunch of bogus. Next question, sports fans sent in a couple about Bellator. First one, prelims are getting better for Bellator. Should Bellator get a TV deal for their prelims like with CBS Sports Network or Pluto? To me, that seems like it would be a more lucrative option, but I'm sure that the people at Bellator kind of have maybe a little bit more of a gauge on how they can get fans on board, right? So maybe giving them the free product will get it out there to a wider audience. More people will come across their YouTube channel and see fights and say, hey, I've watched this for free, the prelims, the last couple weeks, but now I'm going to sign up for Showtime. But I see both sides of it. I just think that you'd have to weigh the audience and have a better idea of the demographics and the stats and everything than I do. But it's not a bad thought. Should Bellator start a challenger show for fighters that don't have many fights? So just like Strikeforce, Scott Coker's the guy behind Bellator. So this person is alluding to the Strikeforce Challenger series that was of yesteryear. And again, once it's tough for me to say, but I would think that that's not a bad idea. It would have to be done when there's not a pandemic going on and when there's audiences and when there's local ticket sellers, because sure, the challengers had kind of some marquee prospects and up and comers on the card, but it also was deep and it had fighters maybe that were more there based on their ability to sell tickets. So for me, an option to explore maybe when they come back, when fans come back, but at this time, I would say Bellator's probably okay without doing that. MMA Island asks, which promotion has the best roster outside the UFC? I think overall, I'd have to say Bellator just because of the top tier fighters that they have. I think the champions and the contenders in each division are very legitimate. They would do excellent in the UFC. Bellator's a little bit top heavy, I think, in some divisions. It's become very evident to me as I've been doing my rankings. Some of the divisions you go from number one contender's good, two's good, three's good, 4, 5, 6. Okay, like some of these people, number 9, should they really be on in any promotions rankings? So I think just because they have those stars, I would say Bellator. PFL's a little more well-rounded. They take more of an international stance. So some of the fighters, I don't really know how good they are until the season starts. So the jury's out on the 2021 season for me with PFL. I think ACA doesn't get enough credit in Russia. Those guys, they have a great roster. But to answer your question, I would say Bellator. Big Zomega, what country will be the next to have a UFC champion for the first time? It's a great question. I had to do some research a little bit for this one. So right now, as it stands, US, Canada, Russia, Ireland, Brazil, Belarus, Cameroon, Australia, Poland, China, Netherlands, and England, I believe, are the countries that had a champion. So for me, I think the ones that stick out, Mexico, obviously, it's a developing sport, MMA down there, so that's a possibility. You've got Brandon Moreno, guys already in the UFC, but the level of talent on the regional scene has seemed pretty good to me as well recently. And then Sweden also sticks out to me too. I know Hamza Chimaev reps them, and he's a guy that, sure, he's got to get healthy and everything, but legitimate title contender. So that would be another possibility, and maybe there's some other Eastern European country or somewhere else that will really produce a superstar and get another country represented. Last question. Who has the best shot? This is by Tyson Smith. Who has the best shot currently to dethrone Figueiredo at flyweight? Manel Kape was my guy, and I think I might have picked that one wrong. I think he's had a bumpy road, questionable last decision, but I don't think he's the guy to beat Figueiredo anymore. For me, it's going to sound cliche, it's going to sound dumb, but Brandon Moreno is the guy. I mean, he took Figueiredo into waters that we hadn't seen since Figueiredo lost to Jussier Formiga back in the day. So for me, that's a rematch I'm excited for. I'm excited to see if Moreno can figure out the puzzle. So right now, I think he has the best shot, and if he is not the guy to do it, I think it's going to be somebody in a different weight class, or the return of Henry Cejudo, if you're looking for a trick answer. But that pretty much does it, guys, for this week. I appreciate everyone that sent in questions. Continue to do so. I will be providing coverage of Bellator 257 tonight. We have UFC on ESPN 22 tomorrow. John Morgan and Ken Hathaway will have your backs there. So coverage all weekend long. Appreciate everyone that tuned in and enjoy the fights, guys.